All right, so today is command hands-on, and we typically in command hands-on, it's more of a workshop time in which agents come in, drop in at any point in time they want to, and talk about whatever challenges or things that they're trying to do within command. We normally do not have spotlight series or topics because we want to create an open forum so agents can come in and get the assistance that they want. And so we rotate the offices. So last week I was in Kahului. This week I'm in Kihei, and then next Wednesday I'll be in Lahaina. And then we also rotate on Oahu. Unfortunately, Carrie is under the weather today, so he is going to be recuperating from home. And so I wanted to take the time, Carrie and I talked about this, and I did a spot check, and I believe Carrie also did on Oahu. But how this started was an agent, or actually a broker, had asked me a question about websites. And that prompted me to take a spot look into all of the agents' websites to see how they're leveraging, or if they are leveraging their websites, their KW branded website. And so from that research, it led me to uncover the fact that many agents are not utilizing Command, their free KW branded website. And so what we wanted to do, Carrie and I, was create a spotlight session with Command hands-on, in which we talked about 4 key things that you can do to leverage your website. And so we're going to talk about those things, and then you can ask any questions that you want to, but we want to make sure at the very least you're doing these 4 things. We'll have some bonus things as well, but I wanted to pull up the Ahara team, their website. And part of the reason that I wanted to pull their website up out of Honolulu is because they are a high functioning team, and they have the production to prove that status. But the one thing that they are using is Command. So they are using Command at a high level. They are using the Command IDX feed for their website. As you can see, it's just like your website, but they have a little more features. So wanted to share a couple of things with them. And I'm actually going to put their link to their website in the chat to make it easier. So you can use this as a benchmark, or you can, take a look at it at your leisure. So that is in the chat. So the first thing is you see their homepage. The key thing, and this is a bonus, this is not what we're going to be talking about today specifically, but at the very least as a bonus tip, you want to make sure that your hero image here where it says find your dream home. So whether you're using that vernacular and or wanting to change it to something else, that's totally fine. But you want to make sure that this image that you see is updated, and making sure that it's updated appropriately to Hawaii. So then in terms of their drop down, so I can show you where I went. So they have their feed, and then the Ahara team, I'm going to hit the drop down, and then they have featured listings. And so making sure that you have the featured listings here, and I'm just showing you their website. Then when I'm going to show you the 4 things, I just want to highlight what they have. So they have a featured listing here. I do want to say that you can edit this image. So this image right now that just really has a typical street, Google arrow map streets of like a typical mainland community, then you can actually do the same thing, but have it with Hawaii. So you can change that to anything you want. So then they have here just their featured listings that they have. They have the image as well. And then they have a blurb, and then they have click here for more detail. So then they have a special page targeted to their featured listings. So that's the first thing on their website. The other thing that they have is their virtual showings, which again, you can edit this background. They have virtual showings, and then they have the list of the video links to their virtual showings. So that's also one thing that you can do, which I can show you how to do as well. The next thing that they have is they have recorded webinars. So anything that they may have done on, let's see, I don't want to do that. Okay. So anything that they have in terms of webinar, and I'm not sure why let's refresh this screen. It may be the internet here, excuse me, here. So give me a moment to have this reload. And there we go. So then they have an image there recorded. See, this image background is different from the other ones. So they just needed to, if they wanted to, they could go back and change those other ones. But they have, you know, recorded webinars, and then they have all of the webinars, whether it's a VinMe account or YouTube. So they have all of their featured videos on there. So you can do that as well. And let me X out of here. Then they just have a video blog, which you can also add as well. And then they have video blogs here. So these are just different things, additional added value that you can bring to make sure that you are enhancing your website. The one thing that I do want to mention is the reason why this is so important is because all of you know that we are in a shifting market. And the more that you can do to leverage your website and add those things, don't add things just to be adding things, but add things out of value. And so now it leads me to getting into the 4 specific things that I want to talk about. So the first thing is a fundamental thing, and it is the listing and buyer presentation. The strategy behind that is this. There are a lot of mainland agents that have their listing and buyer presentation, but let me be very clear. It is not the 20-page document. What they do at a high level is they will take a look, and I'm going to back out of here so I can walk you through exactly what I mean. And what do I want to do? I'm going to go here. I thought I had it up, so give me just a minute. Don't want to go there. There we go. All right, so in Command, I'm going to go into Designs. And do any of you currently have a listing and or buyer presentation loaded on your website? No? Okay, so let me show you the benefits of doing it. So we're going to go to Print. And websites or excuse the internet's a little slow here, so just bear with me. So we're going to be looking for a listing presentation. So listing, and then just listed or listing presentation, excuse me. Then I'm just going to select the first one for now, just for training purposes. So how agents are leveraging this on the mainland is this. They're not adding all 16 pages, 20 pages, whatever the page count is. What they are doing is creating the tone for what their listing presentations include. So what they'll do is they'll go through whichever template they want. So let me move your faces over. So can everybody see that? Okay. So basically what they do, they will go through, they may have a title page, you know, listing template. Obviously they would change the template. They would just say listing presentation, or some of them even personalize it. So if it's Brendan, then they'll say Brendan's listing presentation or whatever. And then what they do is they include the key pages that are the fundamental things that all of their listing presentations include. So sort of, for example, in your listing presentation, you may obviously feature, you know, the home, and then you'll feature the features of the home. Then you may say the price, and then you may say something about the neighborhood. So what you're doing is you're treating this like an advertisement per se of what your listing and presentation includes. You put only those pages on your website. And so when you're meeting with people, you know, this is not the official listing presentation. This is when you're first getting to know them, and basically you're adding value to them, because right then on the spot, as you're talking to them, you can go to your website and just say, hey, instead of me telling you what my listing presentation includes, let me show you. So it's basically just a way for you to add value so they know in advance what's going to be included in the listing presentation. Similarly, what's on the buyer presentation. So what you would do is you would go through this page. Let's just say I want to do page 4. So what you want to do, the key thing you want to do is you want to download it, and the file type is the ping. Download it as a ping file, and that will give you the highest resolution. And then you can say current page or whatever page you want. You download that, and then you save it. And then you're going to go back out here. Then you would go to your consumer page. And then from there, from your consumer page, you would create a new page on your site, create it. The thing that you want to understand is that you have to have a widget on any landing page in order for it to syndicate to your live IDX feed. So the first thing you would want to do is go to content blocker. You put in your text. Then you can put an image in there if you wanted. So then once that image pops up, I'm going to click on this. And then I'm going to select the image. I'm just going to select any one for now. I'll just say 4th of July, even though that's not what we're talking about, but just so you can see. So then once it loads, you click on the image so it populates. And then you see here how it's kind of centered or geared to the left. You can change that. So I'm going to change this. So I'm going to highlight this. So you have to highlight your text. And if you want to center this, this is the way you do it. So you highlight it, and you're going to see this paintbrush. Can everyone see that paintbrush? If you're following along, you hit paintbrush. You go to dimensions, and then dimensions, you go to the left, and then you just add whatever dimensions you want. So I'm just going to do 400. And as I move it, see how it moved? The text moved. Did everybody see how it moved? Yes, no? Okay. So then if you wanted to highlight that text, you just highlight it, or excuse me, increase the font size, then you just make it 7 or whatever you want. You do the same thing with the image. You select the image, go to the margin, left margin. If it's 400, then do 400, and then, you know, whatever it is, if you need to go back some, you back it out, and then you save it. Once you save it, then you add this to your website. It's just that easy. So again, you can do that for listing side and buyer presentation. And again, it's just a short recap or overview of what your listing presentation includes. Now you can list out you can put all your listing information on there, your listing presentation on there if you want, but most agents leverage it just for a teaser of what to expect. Comments or questions before I go to the next one?
Is there any general guidelines as far as, oh, Joe, you might need to hear things. General guidelines as far as like trying to center something like that, or is it literally just kind of typing in a number and seeing what happens?
Typically you want to be in the 300 to 400. Yeah, that will be, and that's why I picked 400. So you'll typically want to be in the 300 to 400 range. So that is the guideline. So I already did the hard part for you. Great question though. Do you see the value of doing something like that, of having that on your website? So when you're meeting with people, you don't have to say the same thing. Sometimes, you know, you want to say it, but sometimes, as you know, people are visual. And if you already have it on your website, you can just, hey, you know, that's my website. It's also a way for people that are searching for you to see, you know, the added value that you bring, and having something like that will, you know, separate you from other agents. Okay, so the next one, which I know you have, Brendan, is reviews. So I just want to highlight that for everyone else that's here, but there's a couple of things you want to keep in mind for the review. So I'm going to go back out to build the page. So for reviews, you got to do two things. You've got to have you have to upload your testimonial list, and you just move that over, and then you figure out, you know, which way, how you want it to present, whether you want a carousel or if you want it linear or whatever. Then you also have to have a testimonial capture form. So you have to do 2 separate landing pages. And the reason why you want to do 2, I mean, you can combine them if you want, but you just want to make sure that you, at the very least, if you're going to combine the widgets, make sure that they're on the same page, and then just make sure it's very clear about what you're asking them. So if you wanted to do the both widgets on the same page, so notice that I already did the testimonial list. And so then if you wanted to start with that, you could, and then after that, you could drop in the other one. So see, I scroll down and make sure that it's up there, and it didn't work. So let's try it again. There we go.
Okay, ready.
So now both of them are on there. So then from there, you would hit configure widget, and then you would just do the testimonial capture. You would change out all of that information, save it. The thing that you want to keep in mind is once you do that, let me mute a few people. The thing that you want to keep in mind is that once you do that, and then you add it to your website, you will have to go in, unfortunately, and manually add those reviews if they are someplace different. So for example, when you're first getting started, if you already have reviews somewhere else, then you can add, you would have to manually go in or pay somebody to go in and manually add those. But moving forward, once you have it on there, then you can just direct people to your website. So let me back out of and I think I did load mine in here. So let me just see if I did, if it's still on there. Let's see, yep. So then here, I just showed people how to do it so you can have it however you want. So then that was my version. So my version was just the header of who I was, and then my clients are my hero, and then I had a text. And then that's the landing page that you would direct people to fill out reviews for you. Questions or comments about reviews. That's really one of the more easier landing pages that you can do, but oftentimes, and in my search, majority of our agents don't have this on their website. So number 1, listing presentation. Number 2, reviews. Questions or comments?
And this is reminding me to go back and check mine. But last time I played with this, wasn't there a maximum number of testimonials you can have on your website?
It should scroll down, but I think it's 4 or 5 that you can see at a time. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. So again, great question. Any other questions about review? So at first we talked about listing / business presentation or buyer presentation reviews. And now we want to talk about color covered. Okay, so this is a website you want to write down. I'll put it in the chat. Let me find it. Here it is. Okay, so this is color covered / color mortgage. So I'm going to put this in the chat for you. Copy and color covered. So why do you want to do that? Great question you asked. So the reason why you would want to do this, you can. The first thing is I gave you an HTML link to color covered / agent assets. What you can do is you see on this side, I did a search for Aaron IU. So simply the first step is create your own personalized marketing page. You see on the right, does everyone see where it says Aaron IU, and then it gives you a preview of what it would look like? Does everybody see that as I'm scrolling down?
Yeah.
So you can actually take this page and add it to your website. And so what you would do is you would go to the website, which I put in the chat. You would go find yourself. So I am going to type in Brendan's name. Whoops, if I can spell it correctly. Let's see. Hold on. No, that's not. Hold on. Let me get out of there and try it again. There we are. There you go. Whoa, look how that changed. So you see your image, Brendan? So then what you would do
Yes.
is you search your name, then you see where it says your page. So then you would copy this. And if I wanted to test that page that I'm copying, that's what it would look like. So then you can put that on your website. And I can walk you through in detail on one-on-ones, but just a quick overview again. So what I would do is I'd go to create page on my agent site, create. Then again, you have to make sure you have a widget and content block. So I'm gonna start with the content block. So I'm gonna do a text. And then I'm gonna go to a widget. And then maybe I want to do just download my app. So now I have a widget because I know that I have to have a widget in order for it to syndicate. So then what you're going to do, which this is a little tricky, that's why we want to do a one-on-one, just to make sure, you'd have to put your code in. So it would be the less than sign center. And I missed one step. Let me go back out. One step I missed. So I had to copy the HTML link. Now I'm going to go to IFrame. And this was the code that I did for Aaron IU. So I'm just going to now put in Brendan's one, generate, and then I'm going to copy. Then I can go back here. So then I have to do centered. I paste the A-frame. Then I have to close this to centered again. And this is just additional code that you want to put in there. And again, I can walk you through this on a one-on-one. And then essentially you would add this page that looks like this on your agent website. How cool is that? So then people could scroll through to, still have your branded header, your information. They can email you, they could call you, they could apply now for Keller Mortgage, they could shop. Then they just have, it's almost like a little blog of Keller Mortgage information. So that's super cool. So that's the third thing that you could add to your website. Comments or questions about that?
That is awesome, but definitely needed a one-on-one.
Yeah.
That's under designs, create designs.
No, this is actually to get the Keller Mortgage app, the file path would be this. And I put it in the chat. So you first want to go to kellercovered.com/agent assets. Then
But I mean
there,
on command.
Oh, for then command, you go directly to consumers. So let me go back. So I was in consumers. So let me save this as my test color cover, just for future reference for me. So then where I went to load this, you go to consumer app, the last applet. So then you go to consumer. Then from there, you go to create new page on my agent website, create the page. And then from there, like I said, you want to first do your content block. So you can write your code or copy your code. Then you have to go back and do a widget. So then I'm just going to do download my app as a standard widget. Then I'd go back here, highlight this, and then do my pre-code, which is the center, because I want it centered. Whoops, no spaces. And then I copy that IFrame code, and I'll show you again where that came from. And then I put my centered again there. Oops, I missed one bracket. Centered, and then close that bracket. And then you just want to, configure your website. Let's see. So I would, change this if I wanted to. So instead of saying download the app, I could say download my app, or if you want to call your app a name, whatever you want to call it. And then the button, you can download app or download my app. You can change whatever the text you want, and then you just save and apply. Save and apply. And then you would go and add it to your page. And just as a quick overview, how you add it to your page is you would, now we're in agent site pages. See where teal is your friend. So now the underline is under agent site pages. You're always going to start with general, but you want to make sure you're going to be in agent site pages. Add the page, find out whatever the name is. So if this was the page, then I continue. And then I go through the process of adding the title, the URL slug, and SEO. The only thing that I want to mention with the URL slug is that, like, for example, if it's Keller covered, if you're saying, and people may not know what Keller covered is, so maybe you want to call it Keller mortgage, because that's, you know, something that they would, you know, associate more. You can do that and see where it says Keller mortgage. And then once you save this, you'll be able to check this, and it may not go because I didn't configure it. So if it doesn't work, it's me. It's not the system. It's me, because I didn't publish it. But then you would test it, and you just put it in there. So yeah, I just didn't edit this right, but I just need to go back in and do the settings, but that's essentially what it would be. How cool is that? So that's the third one. So again, listing buyer presentation was number 1. Number 2 was reviews. Number 3 was the Keller covered / mortgage, and then blog / neighborhood market. So if you have, for example, let me open, I don't want to have too many things open. So let me go to, keep that. And so keeping current matters. So however, whatever platform you use for blog. So if it's keeping current matters or whatever it is, if this is where you have your blog posts, basically what you would do is go in here, find your blog, and then take that URL. And just like I did for the other one, you would do the same thing for that URL, meaning you'd find the URL from your blog, go back in, create the separate landing page, add the HTML code, and then you can also put your blog on there. And you can do any link for that matter. You can put whatever, as long as you have an HTML link and you know that code in terms of center, open bracket center, close bracket center, then it centers for you. Questions? I know it's a lot of steps, but again, number 1, fundamental things to make sure you're leveraging your KW website in the shifting market, listing buyer presentation, reviews, Keller covered mortgage, and then blogs and/or neighborhood market. So I'm just going to open it up to questions to see what you guys think. You can set up a one-on-one with me to go and, you know, to make sure it's on your site, and then, you know, answer any other questions one-on-one. But questions? No questions? None? Was this helpful? Was it not? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely helpful. One-on-one, or just, I might have to rewatch the video a couple of times.
Okay, yeah, but I'm here to help. But I just wanted to let you know that just making sure the ultimate thing that Carrie and I wanted to share was just the ability to make sure that, you know, you're leveraging everything that's included in your Keller Williams package of arsenal of tricks. So this is a free website. You can add some bells and whistles to it, but the key thing is that you're just leveraging yourself to put yourself apart, set yourself apart from other agents that are not doing this. And it's just, you know, if you know that these are the 4 things, you can schedule, you know, 2 30-minute sessions with me and you can knock it out in an hour. So, you know, leverage it. You know, this is something that you can leverage for free. So don't try to, you know, create a website because you want to have certain bells and whistles. Leverage what you have until you get to that point where if you want to branch out and do something where you have a different website, that's totally fine. But leverage what you have for now, especially during this market.
I've got a quick question, Natasha.
Yes.
If the landing page exists on the website for Keller Mortgage and we wanted to update it with what you just showed us, do you
Mhm.
recommend taking the original down and redoing another, or inserting? What do you
So I
recommend
would-
as far as
Yeah,
if it
I would
exists?
look at, I would probably, if I were you, I'd probably just refresh it. I'm not sure how you, most likely you probably already loaded it the same. So I would just, flip out or switch
Text
out the
it, text it.
HTML code.
Okay,
Just to make sure you have the most current information. The one thing that I didn't mention, which I need to do, is when you go to your Keller covered agent, you go to that site, you want to make sure that, I'm just going back to make sure I show you. So here, when you go to the iframe, the thing that you want to make sure that you have, and I didn't mention this, but we can do it on the one-on-one, but just in case you try to do it on your own, you want to make sure that for the width, you have 900 and height, you have 1500. You can change it to whatever you want, but that's a really good rule of thumb. The other thing, which I forgot to deselect this, you want to make sure that you have the scroll bar, because remember how we were able to scroll when I added Brendan's to mine temporarily. Obviously, I'll be promoting Brendan until I take it down. But you want to make sure that you say yes to the scroll bar and border no. Then you go in and put that, that URL in there, generate it, and then it's going to give you that iframe code, then you copy it. But again, you want to make sure that the width is 900, the height is 1500, scroll bar is yes, border no. I know it's a lot, but it's a learning process. You can tell people that you know code. Whether you think that's exciting or not, I might be in my own cheerleading party with that, but any
thanks,
questions?
Natasha.
Yeah, any questions? Other questions? All right, well, that's it for today. I will hang out if anybody has any other specific questions that you want to talk about, but reach out to me, connect with either myself or Carrie, and we can just make sure that, if you've got, one of the four or two of the four done, and you just want help with two of the four that we recommended, help me, to help you. I'm more than happy to do that. Or if you don't have any of the four on your website. But again, just to recap, listing, buyer presentation, reviews, then the Keller covered / mortgage, and then you could do neighborhood snapshot or blocks. But make sure you got those four things. So I'll stay on the line if somebody else have any other questions, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Latasha.
Thanks for joining me. You have 30 minutes left of your day, free time, or
Yeah,
28,
no, I'm
27.
using it to book some time with you next week. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. I'm
All
here.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is it just
So-
us?
Yeah, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like trying to do it right now. But I think maybe I should just book one-on-one with you.
Okay. Which
Um,
one are you trying to do, just for clarity, so I know?
well, I was just trying to do the download my app, adding that to my marketing page. I can do that, right?
Yeah, you should be able to do that. So let me do this. Let me stop share. And I will make you the host so you can share your screen. And then hold on, before I do that, let me stop recording.
I'm sure everyone's really interested to see my